Good morning. Deep introspection this morning. I've been reading the book on the iPad that was sent to me a few weeks ago. I'm up to I've done 29 chapters so far, as of yesterday, as of last night actually. And it's a book about a relationship between a man and a woman in which their shadows are relating to each other. And I suppose that was the trigger for the deep introspection this morning and why I chose the title, Revealing the Divine in Flesh. To most Christians, the incarnation happened only once when God revealed himself in the flesh of the Son of Man, known in today's world as Jesus of Nazareth. He was the God-man. However, I don't think the world understood that this was not meant to be a one-time deal. To me, the Creator's intent has always been to be revealed in all of creation, especially in the troublesome part of that creation, human beings. Christianity, far from encouraging that intent, has invalidated every man or woman that saw this as the divine purpose for his or her life. How dare anyone think that they too could reveal God in their flesh? I have no idea how far I'm going to get today, because some of the feelings that are coming up are almost beyond words. The level of honesty that's required when you do the shadow work is amazing. I've been exploring, and the things that are coming up of the inconsistencies of my own life. The little white lies, if you will, or the failure to be in total integrity because of listening to other people's viewpoints and wanting to be liked, wanting to be understood. So it's not comfortable sometimes when you have to explore and see how the things that you're judging in others, you've been guilty of as well. And that's what was happening to me in the meditation room this morning. Triggered, as I said, by reading Reagan's story. And I mean, I did a Google search just a little bit before coming on, because he sent me a book about spiritual rage, and wild hominoid is one of his tags, if you will. His name is Regan Patno, R-E-G-A-N-P-A-T-N-O, and he lives in Oxnard, California, and he had a little bit of fame at one point going around the world doing musical and artistic presentations with his then partner. And the book that I'm reading now is about a new partner, and it's a really strange, in-depth relationship. But it's bringing up all sorts of stuff in me, because he's being very honest in his book, and I'm sorry I don't have the link to that right now, because I didn't think of doing that till just a few minutes before the video was supposed to start. But I'll probably talk about that again on a future video, and I'll allow you to connect more with what I'm talking about. Maybe you can find something. I mean, I was unable to find what I was looking for just prior to coming on this morning, as I said. Anyway, as I'm reading the book, and I'm looking at a relationship that is far from what I would consider the ideal relationship. I mean, far from it. He reveals his weaknesses and hers. It's right out there to look at. very sexually explicit. uh, I mean, he's telling it as he's seeing it and experiencing it, and I think he's being in integrity in doing so, although some of it really pushes my buttons. And one of the things that came up for me this morning is about Facebook posts disappearing and stuff like that. And if you've been listening for any length of time, you know how much I hate censorship. I don't like it when people do it to me, and I've really not liked it when I've done it to others. And yet there's been a few times at least that came up that because people were using language in referring to, especially to my friend, not so much to me as to my friends. And I've talked about this, I've mentioned this a couple of times before. But God allows everything. And I'm not at the place yet where I can allow everything, and yet there's guilt that comes up for the times that I have censored people for using language or calling names because I thought it was inappropriate. And I suppose I have the right to do that. Yet, I experienced the feelings of guilt over it this morning in the meditation. And I'm realizing, how do I say it? I'm realizing the perfection that God is after. And I said in yesterday's video that God always edifies and uplifts. And at least a few people corrected me and say, no, God sometimes tears down. And another verse that came to me from the Bible in the meditation this morning is the one where it says, I kill and I make alive. There is no God but me. There's one God, the destroyer and the redeemer and creator. God creates and God destroys. And what I've noticed in my own life is that indeed God does reveal every part of me that is not in integrity. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. Because I want so much to be in integrity. And yet I see even the most simple flaw as unacceptable. But God says, no, if you want to reveal the divine in your flesh, if you want to be truly Christed, if you want the Buddhic nature to be manifested in all that you say and do and how you live and conduct yourself, be perfect. You don't allow even the smallest white lie, the smallest sin. You forgive yourself for making them. But know that if you want to really reveal the divine in your flesh, it requires utmost honesty. I remember when I was in the deposition that lasted 14 hours over a 2-day period. And I told the little white lie that I was sitting outside the room when Dr. Mary was in to sign her trust documents. And that was true, but only partially true. Because indeed, she insisted that I come into the room. And so after insisting, the paralegals invited me to come and sit down. I did not interfere in any way, shape, or form, but I was in the room when she actually signed the documents, because that was her request. But I had revealed it with a partial truth, and I corrected that partial truth. And there are times that I have censored people because of other people's opinions, because they were calling names to people. And guilt was coming up, as I said, for me about that. Now, there have been times that people have complained about things disappearing. And I don't know how Facebook works. I have gotten emails about posts, and then when I go to read the post actually on Facebook, it says, sorry, that's no longer available. I've had the same thing happen in YouTube, where people befriend me on YouTube, and I go to their name and they don't have an account, and yet they befriended me on that account or subscribed to my updates or whatever. And I don't know how this censorship works. I know that there's censorship going on, and it bothers me that people are bothered by it, because I'm bothered by it. Because I do believe people need to be able to say what they need to say. And yes, sometimes wording does offend me. The particular one that came up yesterday, I wanted to delete that when I first saw it, because he was referring to some women whom I don't even know who he was referring to, but by a term of female genitals that I think is very unflattering. Starts with a C, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But I don't like that word. And I wanted to delete it right away. I didn't delete it, but I wanted to. There's a part of me that wanted to correct that. And I had somebody criticize me for not correcting it. Anyway, these little things that may seem inconsequential to you and to most people are what's coming up for me today. Because I want to show forth the divine, the Christ, in my life. And I honestly believe that the intent of Christianity, not the religion, but the intent of Christ, of Jesus, and of God when Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, the intent was to make every human being a Christ. And it came to me just before I came on also about the people complaining to Moses that certain people in the camp were prophesying. And that wasn't their role as the people saw it. And Moses replied to the people, I would that all God's children were prophets and seers. He didn't say that in the text, but I'm adding that. I wish everybody could be Christed. I wish everybody would show forth the divine in their life and have that desire. But Jesus was only the firstborn of many. And I want you to see that it is our calling to reveal the divine in our flesh. And it does require a deep level of honesty, a deep commitment to being in integrity. It does admit owning our little sins, because they're not little. Now, there may not be many people that even understand what I'm talking about today, because it's a deep level, deep level of fine-tuning the human experience to reflect the truth. And remember what is said about the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. To the degree that you and I, are able to show the truth in our lives and express the truth in our lives, to that level we will be able to liberate ourselves and hopefully liberate others. But each person, for him or herself, has to do some of the work. Nobody does it for them. Nobody can do it for them, not even Jesus. Not even Jesus can do the work for you that you have to do for yourself, because God's intent is to reveal the divine, to reveal the Creator in you. And for you to know that you are in God and God is in you and you are one. That is the intent. That's the whole purpose of this spiritual journey into the far country as prodigal sons and daughters of the living God. So I encourage those of you that are facing challenges, that are facing the fine-tuning of the Spirit, to keep heart, to keep the faith, to keep pressing on. Don't be discouraged, because God will be revealed in us and in many, and this will change the world for the good. I believe that's what's happening in 2012. Finally, we're reaching the apex of the divine plan to manifest God in flesh. Namaste.